So how do you book a video game? Well, let me tell you a little story about how I booked Dead Rising 3, where I played the badass mechanic Rhonda, aka Hot Rhonda. And I had the most fun I've ever had on set, like ever. So I fought zombies. I got my arm and replaced with a flamethrower. I stabbed a zombie through the head with a crowbar. I got reunited with my long lost husband in the middle of an apocalypse. Oh, and I did all of this while wearing a suit covered with tiny little ping pong balls and a giant camera strapped to my head. So this is going to be a behind the scenes story of how I booked my first video game and why you might not need a class to do it yourself, okay? So when I first got the audition for Dead Rising 3, I noticed something interesting in the breakdown. It said, be off book and move. Now, if you've done a lot of on-camera work, you know you're usually told to stay pretty still, you know, in the audition. But for this, they wanted movement, like I was auditioning for a play. And let me tell you, I love to move. My background is in theater, Grotowski, and physical theater and physical movement. And I knew that this was my moment to use it. So I walked into this audition ready to go. And the director, Tom Keegan, was sitting in his chair. And if you don't know, Tom Keegan is the guy. He's directed some of the biggest video games ever, like Star Wars, Battlefield, Wolfenstein. As I started my audition, I saw something happen that every actor dreams of. He leaned forward in his chair. And when I finished, he looked at me and said, who are you and what is your training? And at that moment, I knew I had booked it. I was cast alongside Andy Lawrence, Joey Lawrence's little brother, and some other really incredible actors. And let me tell you, working on Dead Rising 3 was like nothing I had ever done before. First of all, we did something unheard of in video games. We rehearsed. That's right. We actually had a full week of rehearsals before filming. And we needed it because here's something most people don't know. Video game acting is like memorizing a phone book. Every scene has 3 or 4 different versions depending on the player's choices. That means for every interaction, we had to perform multiple versions, different choices, different outcomes. And then there's the motion capture. You wear a black suit covered in these reflective balls. You have a giant camera rig strapped to your head. It's called the antlers. That captures your face. And you perform in a giant motion capture studio with cameras everywhere. Yeah, on any given day, we'd shoot 6, 7, 8 scenes, which is a lot when you're memorizing every possible choice a player might make. A lot of actors ask me, should I take a motion capture class before auditioning? And my answer is no. The industry is used to people coming in with zero mocap experience. When you get there, they'll teach you, right? You have to take direction, but everything you need to know is there. The key is being physically present in your performance and understanding how to move within the space. The biggest difference between motion capture and on-camera acting, you can't rely on close-ups or subtle expressions. Your physicality has to tell the story. And for me, coming from theater, it felt like the perfect mix of Shakespearean drama, action movie intensity, and live performance energy. Now, once all the motion capture was done, we had to wait for the animation team to do their magic. And then a year later, we came back to do ADR, additional dialogue recording. And if you've never done ADR for a video game, let me tell you, it's an experience. A standard ADR session is for 4 hours, and you save all the screaming for the end because, yes, you will be screaming. You have to record dying screams, battle cries, jumping and grunts, getting punched, kicked, thrown off a building, you name it. And if you do it wrong, you blow out your voice in the first hour. Luckily, the team knew what they were doing, and they saved all the intense vocal work for the end, so I could go home and recover afterwards. I've done a lot of work in Los Angeles, TV, film, and theater, but Dead Rising 3 remains one of my favorite acting experiences ever. Why? Number one, the collaboration. Tom Keegan wasn't just a director. he was a storyteller, you guys. He'd give us thoughts like before we would do a take that would completely change the scene. One day before a scene, he said, "This time I want you to do it as if you've already decided that you're going to commit suicide." That one change, it changed everything for me. Number 2, the challenge, memorizing multiple versions of every scene, embodying the character fully, and performing without traditional sets or costumes. It pushed me as an actor in the best way. And number 3, the absolute chaos. I mean, I had a flamethrower for an arm. I stabbed zombies through the head. I had an emotional reunion with my husband in the middle of the apocalypse. How could you not love that? Since Dead Rising 3, I've gone to do, on to do Wolfenstein 2, and I have another game coming out soon. And I love, like you guys, I love working in video games. Oh, and apparently a lot of boys had a crush on Miranda. Which, considering she's a middle-aged badass, or I'm a middle-aged badass, that's cool. It's kind of hilarious. But I'll take it. Okay, so final thoughts. How can you book a video game? If you're an actor looking to break into video games, here's my advice. Number 1, know your physicality. Video game acting is big. It's more like theater than TV. Number 2, be open to direction. A great director will take your performance to a whole new level. 3, you don't need a mocap class, you guys. They teach you everything you need on the job. And 4, have fun. Because trust me, video games are some of the most fun you'll ever have as an actor. So what do you think? Have you ever thought about acting in a video game? Let me know in the comments. And if you found this video helpful, hit that like button, subscribe, and share with an actor friend who needs to hear this. Okay? And if you want to find more about how to pitch yourself directly to directors, producers, and writers, you can watch some of my other videos. I have that information there. All right, see you on the next one.